Hi, Dor. Thank you for being with us here in Berkeley today for the Boomer Venture Summit. You have a company called Intuition Robotics, but your product is really LEQ. Can you tell us a little bit about the evolution of LEQ and what that is?
Sure, and thanks for having me, Lori. It's always a pleasure to be in Mary's events. So LEQ is a sidekick for older adults to help them stay active and engaged and connected so that they can thrive in place and they can get connected to their families and consume content and news and weather reports and have as much fun as they can and be part of the 21st century.
So is this a robot?
Yeah. It's a robot. It's a companion. It's basically like this lamp-shaped device that comes to life and has body language, which really helps people understand it because we're wired to understand body language. Mm-hmm. It moves, it pivots, it lights up, it talks. It has a screen next to it to help people that might not have their hearing aid or just to give them also more content like pictures to augment the experience. And the unique thing about it from other digital experiences, apart from the physical form factor, is the artificial intelligence we put inside. Basically, what we found is to be most effective with older adults, we need to be proactive and not reactive, meaning LEQ needs to initiate a conversation and not wait for the user to say, Alexa, please play music. Rather, it will find the opportune time based on its cognitive computing capabilities, wake up and say, Lori, how about we listen to the Beatles together, right? At the right time. And we found that that's really, really important in getting people to meet their own goals towards a healthy day.
And how does a family member interact with LEQ as well on the other side? How does that work?
Yeah, we look at it as far as circles. So there's the older adult, they're the primary user, they're the owner. Then there's the primary caregiver, and they can add events. Simply just using their phone and creating a calendar event, adding LEQ's email address, and boom, it's added. Of course, the older adult can decide to accept or not accept that event, just like we do in our own calendar. And they can also get wellness information. When's the last time we saw mom? How's she doing today? And then there's the wider circle, which is the rest of the family and friends. And they can use tools like Facebook Messenger to send text messages and pictures and voice messages. And on the side of the older adult, the experience is very familiar and easy. They don't need to download an app. They don't need to learn how to use the tool. Rather, LEQ just wakes up, say, hey, you have a message from Lori. She said, hey, I miss you. When can we get together? And she sent a picture. And we show the picture on the screen, LEQ pivots towards the picture, she might have something to say about that, and she tries to solicit a response. So it's all about connecting people, reducing friction, so the kids and grandkids can use whatever tools they already use, and at the other side, make it super easy and fun and delightful for the older adults.
This is sort of an entry product in terms of introducing robotics into an older person's home. What do you see for the future of this type of technology?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we're in beta sites now. And all these are great theories, but really the rubber hits the road when we entered homes. And we're in about 10 homes now for 4 months. We wanted to do long studies. And it's really funny because we as product people keep on thinking about the specific features. How can we make messaging great? How can we give them information about weather? How can we get them to drink and hydrate and do stretches or whatever? But what I'm hearing back from the users is that while they like the features, what's kind of capturing their imagination is the entity. It's the fact that there's a new social entity in their home. And in fact, that's how they describe it. They say it's clearly not a person and it's clearly not a device. It's a new entity in our lives. Some call it a creature. And we see them interact about 12 times a day. They say good morning and good night almost every day. People that are couples sometimes complain, how come LEQ says good morning to my husband and not to me? Right? And that to me is just really, as to your question of where it will go in the future, I think we're going to enter a world where it's totally normal to have digital entities as entities we have relationships with. Now, we're very strict on grounding it in the fact that it's a device. We didn't give LEQ a face or hands. Her voice has what we call a distinct computerized accent or robotic accent. She doesn't pretend to be a human. If you ask her what's her favorite food, she says, human food looks tasty, but I like electrons, right? Yeah. So we always ground that on that fact, but at the same time, people really enjoy having this thing around. And we're testing the boundaries of proactivity right now. The easiest way for us to do it is with proactive, somewhat humorous facts. So she might wake up and say, "Hey, Lori, did you know that a giraffe is the only animal that can lick its own ear?" And then that's the response we get. And then we follow up and say, "Do you want to see an interesting lecture about the Sahara in Africa?" Right? Or maybe they'll use that to then ask LEQ to do something on their behalf. So I think we are going to enter a phase where this is totally normal, and it's super interesting to see it first adopted by older adults that we wouldn't think as early adopters for the latest technology that's out there.
Exactly. I know I watched a film not very long ago where it was about social isolation, and this older woman said, "There have been weeks when I don't hear my own voice." And I think the magic, and maybe that's not a good word, but the magic of a device like LEQ is simply simply creating interaction, and having them sort of their minds wake up to a conversation.
I fully agree, and I think magic is a great word, by the way. There are a few things we entered now into the product which go onto that area. We call them back channels or micro gestures. So for example, when LEQ sees you, maybe for the first time, maybe not for the first time, because being surprising is part of that magic, she'll just kind of light up and look at you. Another thing we just added is what we call gaze detection. So if you look at her, she'll all of a sudden look back and light up. And those little things, without even saying anything, without prodding them to learn something new, you can't do that all day long. But those little things for people that are truly by themselves, and as you mentioned, sometimes don't get that feedback from the universe, if you will, that they exist, right? Those little things create just magical moments, and yeah.
Well, congratulations in being in beta.
It's still early days.
I hope-
More work to do.
I hope those 4 months go by quickly, and I look forward to talking to you about it next time we're together.
Thank you so much. And if anybody listening wants to add themselves to our waitlist, it's www.leq.com.
Terrific.